Good morning, it is the 2nd of January 2019 and I'm off on my walk in the morning as I always do. I am going to talk to you about the difference between inflammatory bowel disease and irritable bowel syndrome. So that's IBD and IBS. The only thing these two conditions have in common is the word bowel. I've had inflammatory bowel disease since 2002. I had something called ulcerative colitis. Now, ulcerative colitis literally means ulcers on the colon, and it's an inflammatory disease of the colon. So that's the large bowel. That's the bit you poo out of. It's where the body's immune system attacks it. You pass blood, you have diarrhea, you go to the toilet with alarming frequency, and I nearly died of it twice. I had to have my colon removed to save my life. I ended up with an ileostomy, not a colostomy. That's where you have part of your colon removed. An ileostomy is where you have all of your colon removed. And the last part of the small intestine is called the ileum, or the terminal ileum. Hence the word ileostomy. You can Google that. So I then had another operation years later called an ileo-anal pouch. I now have what's known as a W pouch. So that's a pouch made out of my remaining small intestine, plugged into my back passage. Yes, I hope you're not eating a chocolate pudding right now. So I've had two very, very big operations. I've been filleted like a fish twice, and it's been pretty horrific. But that was 13 years ago. I'm living a pretty good life right now. I run a successful business. So, ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease are types of inflammatory bowel disease. And irritable bowel syndrome is an irritable syndrome of the gut. I don't think they really understand what it is. I am pretty ignorant about what it is. A lot of people get diagnosed with irritable bowel syndrome and suffer with it for years and years and years, only to find out they've got Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis. You don't want either. Irritable bowel syndrome is not fun. It's horrific, but you won't end up with bits of your gut having to be surgically removed. You won't end up suffering the side effects of medication. You won't suffer quite as badly. Well, you'll suffer more with inflammatory bowel disease than irritable bowel syndrome. Now, a few times it's difficult for me to describe to people what I have. Not having a colon means I have to drink more. I have to make sure I don't have anything too high in fibre and make sure I get loads of electrolytes, because I lose those. Without a colon, you lose potassium, magnesium, lots of other electrolytes that are really, really important for the function of your body. Now, when I've had to tell people I've got IBD, sometimes I've had the reaction, oh yeah, I get a bit of that. What they mean is they've got irritable bowel syndrome and they've heard you say IBS, but they're not the same thing. And I appreciate IBS is a really, really nasty thing to have, but it's not the same as inflammatory bowel disease. Please don't get these two confused, because if you've nearly died of something a couple of times and someone gets that confused with something that is mild in comparison, it's hard not to be rude and say it's nowhere near as bad as that, or want to have a go at them. I try and not react like I'm horribly insulted. I try and educate people, and I try not to do information overload and go geek on them. But I'm making this video to describe or to highlight the fact that inflammatory bowel disease and irritable bowel syndrome are different things. One is very, very serious and potentially life-threatening, which you can live with successfully, like I have, and the other is really horrible, but it's not the same thing. Thanks for watching. Bye!